Tarl and I speak at least once a week. And we were just talking last week about some of his real estate deals and what he sees in the market. Just so everybody knows, I'm sure a lot of people on here do. Let's talk about what BURR is. It's buy, rehab, refinance, repeat.
Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat.
Oh, that's right. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat.
I wish you could just refi.
So yeah, so right now it's just buh, right?
Yeah, it's just buy. Buy and pray. Yeah.
No, but really, I mean, I make a joke about that, but the real truth is there's a lot of issues on the rehab costs. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of issues on the rent costs because some of the rent is trending. Rental growth is some trending down, some trending up. The refinances are a little bit off, right? Yeah. And so, which also makes the repeat off. So, so are we really just buh?
Yeah, totally. Like, and actually, it's been a weird year. I've just been, I don't know how to say it, but like right now, it's kind of my mentality in our real estate business. And I started in 2005, and I was around when it crashed last time. I just wasn't full time. I was a full-time financial planner, right? So I definitely got to see the stock market situation during that time period. And I was more of a part-time investor. But I didn't go full-time in real estate until, basically early 2011. And if you started in single families or multifamily or anything in real estate in 2011, you've done a pretty good job over the last decade. And so this last year for me has been different, just like a lot of investors. It's earlier this year, we were crushing it. Like everything was going up, especially in the single family realm. We bought a house in January 2022 in an area called Kirkland, Washington, which if you know anything about the east side of Seattle, like Kirkland, it was one of the hottest markets over the last decade in that area. And we bought a house that we thought was going to be worth 1.3 million by the time we were done fixing it up. So it was like a starter home in Kirkland. Like this is a starter home in the area. Within 2 weeks of buying it, a house pretty much the neighbor sold for 1.6 million in early February. So we're like, woo, we're gonna crush it. Like we're gonna make a ton of money. And then and it was just a standard property for us. It took us a few months to get through permits, but then after that, it took about 4 months for rehab. And then now we just listed it a few weeks ago. So instead of listing it for 1.6 or 1.4 or 1.3, we had to list it for 1.235, and that was pushing it. So we got very lucky that we did get it tied up for 1.3, but we had to give concessions to the seller, which we haven't done. We haven't done seller concessions in forever, right?
10 years probably, right?
Yeah, and so we have a $31,000 seller concession. So in reality, we sold it for 1.2. When we bought it, we projected 1.3 to 1.6, and that's all happened in the last less than 6 months. So in our market, so I'm losing money on that house. We're losing 70 grand actually on that property, but I'm actually happy, right? Because I'm like, it could have been a lot worse, and it can get a lot worse depending on when you bought the property, especially which market you're in. And your exit strategy, and if you bought on a thin margin. My last complaint, as an example on this one, is that I've always told people to buy conservatively. If you've watched, I've done a lot of videos on Bigger Pockets, all the stuff I've ever done. I've always said I have a specific buying criteria and I don't leave it. Well, this house I left it. This house I bought on a tighter margin, and it's the one house I bought on a tighter margin. And I'm like, we're good. We crush all the time, right? This one's going to go up. It's Kirkland. What the hell can go wrong, right? So so we threw everything out the window as far as our normal buying criteria. And of course, it's the house that got hit. And it's not the worst one, but it's definitely the one that I know we could have done different on. But hubris got in the way on that one for sure.
Well, I think it's a good story though, because first of all, thank you for telling the truth. But because there's a lot of people that are in your space, and there's a lot of people, that are buying on thin margins, and there's a lot of people that are now facing some of these issues. Was the issue that you projected the exit price significantly higher and debt went up, and therefore the buyer could afford less, or what was the actual reason behind you being squeezed?
So reality for us, I think it's all dependent on the market, and when I say market, I mean like the MSA, like the city, like where it's at and what's happening. we're in my area of King County and Pierce County, there's certain parts like Kirkland, Washington's getting squeezed because it's a tech market buyer, right? And a lot of the tech market people that buy in that area, and why Kirkland went up so fast and why parts of the east side of Seattle went up so fast is because it's all tech buyers. And a lot of tech buyers, they don't have to buy at the same time. They're moving, they can rent, they watch the news all the time, right? Because they're not actually working. Sorry, tech buyers. But they and because of that, like they're more nervous, so why buy? And they also have a lot of money in stock market, and they probably got hit too on that. So the Kirkland's predominantly was hit by the tech market. However, I have another house on the other side of town in West Seattle, which is more of an older part of town, and you're not moving to West Seattle unless you want to live in West Seattle. Like you're making a choice. That market hasn't slowed down. That market is actually like leveled out. It hasn't dropped, right? And that's a 20-minute drive from Kirkland to, or 30 depending on traffic. So Kirkland, you don't have to buy, right? And it's been high price, and it's all tech buyers and stuff like that moving there. They're moving there because they're moving for their job. You're going to West Seattle, it's because you want to live in West Seattle. So I think everything, it just depends on which neighborhood you're in. But why Kirkland dropped, or why other parts of the US is dropping in certain areas, is, in my opinion, what happened to us in Kirkland is that the rates were so low and the demand was so high in that market that it just skyrocketed prices to where they shouldn't have been.